Meta has been warned by dozens of organizations that facial recognition on its smart glasses would empower predators. And a new study found that the majority of Australian kids are still on banned social media platforms. It's Tuesday, April 14th, and here's a quick look at some of the news happening in the tech world this morning from Engadget. Dozens of civil rights organizations have written a letter to Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg to warn of the dangers in bringing facial recognition technology to the company's smart glasses. More than 70 groups have banded together to form a coalition to urge Zuckerberg to abandon plans to incorporate the tech on the grounds that it would empower stalkers, sexual predators, and other bad actors. This coalition includes organizations like the ACLU, the Electronic Privacy Information Center, Fight for the Future, Access Now, and many others. The letter is not asking for safeguards. These groups want the feature to be completely eliminated, stating the idea behind facial recognition of this type is so dangerous that it cannot be resolved through product design changes, opt-out mechanisms, or incremental safeguards. This tracks, as there would be no real way for bystanders to know or consent to being identified. The letter stated, people should be able to move through their daily lives without fear that stalkers, scammers, abusers, federal agents, and activists across the political spectrum are silently and invisibly verifying their identities and potentially matching their names to a wealth of readily available data about their habits, hobbies, relationships, health, and behaviors. The organizations have urged Meta to disclose any known instances of its wearables being used for stalking, harassment, or domestic violence. They also want the company to disclose past or ongoing discussions with federal law enforcement agencies, including ICE, about the use of Meta smart glasses and other wearables. There is certainly some cause for worry here. According to the New York Times, Meta issued an internal memo last year that suggested it could roll out this technology during a dynamic political environment where many civil society groups that we would expect to attack us would have their resources focused on other concerns. That is corporate speak for we'll do it when nobody is watching. The coalition called this vile behavior that looks to take advantage of rising authoritarianism. The technology in question is apparently called NameTag for obvious reasons. It uses AI to pull up information about people in a field of view to smart glasses displays. That's about as dystopian as it gets, right? The company has reportedly been working on two versions of the tool set. There's one that would only identify people that are currently connected to a Meta platform, and another that would identify anyone with a public account on a service like Instagram. It doesn't look like there's any way, as of yet, to use this tech to identify strangers on the street who do not have a Meta account of any kind. In other words, the company should expect a wave of cancellations if this rolls out. In an emailed statement, a Meta spokesperson told Engadget, "Our competitors offer this type of facial recognition product. We do not. If we were to release such a feature, we would take a very thoughtful approach before rolling anything out." Public outcry has gotten Meta to back off from facial recognition in the past. The company ended Facebook's photo tagging system in 2021 after pushback from civil liberties groups and years of costly litigation. Meta paid out billions of dollars to settle biometric privacy lawsuits in Illinois and Texas, and another $5 billion to the FTC for a separate privacy case partially tied to facial recognition software. Many countries are pursuing social media bans for anyone under 16, but a recent poll is putting the effectiveness of such laws into question. The Molly Rose Foundation, a charity organization that focuses on preventing online harm, recently published a study that polled 1,000 Australian children between ages 12 and 15 back in March. The study's results showed that 61% of those between 12 and 15 who previously had access to affected social media platforms still have one or more active accounts. Australia made a first-in-the-world decision to ban social media for those under 16 beginning on December 10th. While it's only been a few months since the ban went into effect, the foundation's poll concluded that the ban doesn't have a clear positive or negative impact on children's well-being. The study also noted that 70% of children trying to get on restricted platforms said that it was easy to get around the ban. Andy Burrows, the CEO of the Molly Rose Foundation, said these results raise major questions about the effectiveness of Australia's social media ban and show it would be a high-stakes gamble for the UK to follow suit now. The Australian government has also published its own findings back in March that examined how social media platforms are complying with the ban. According to the government's report, Snap, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are currently being investigated for potential non-compliance. The report added that Australia's e-safety agency is finalizing these investigations and will make a decision about enforcement by the middle of this year. According to the e-safety report, the agency's enforcement powers include issuing infringement notices, seeking court-ordered injunctions, and civil penalties up to 49.5 million Australian dollars, which is equivalent to about 35 million US dollars. Thanks for listening. There's more tech news at Engadget.com. This episode featured journalism from Lawrence Bonk and Jackson Chen. Enjoy your day. I'll be back tomorrow with more tech news from Engadget.